Now, let's turn our attention to creating camera switch animations. In other words, you may have more than one camera in the scene, and just like in a normal movie that you might watch where they have multiple cameras on scene, you want to be able to switch between camera views. And so I'm going to show you now how to do that and how to animate those camera views as well. So in a few moments we're actually going to put our attention down below here in this section, which is the camera switcher area, but we'll come to that in just a moment. The first thing we want to do is just get our cameras in position and get them configured, each one individually, to do what we want it to do. So let's do that first off. You'll remember we're of course using the racetrack example that we created earlier. You'll remember that we created two cameras. One of them here is called Camera and the other one called Camera 1. And we're in the onboard camera right now, so if I select Camera, you'll see and probably recall when we created this camera. Of course, this symbol here is a representation of the camera, and it shows the direction that it's pointing. And right now we have an offset applied, so we're standing back and behind the camera. However, normally what you would do, of course, is actually put yourself right in that hole so that you can see what the camera is looking at. And as you'll recall, we do that with this green button down here that if we just crawl in, it'll just kind of put us right in place. And then once we've done that, unless we want to keep this frame, which I doubt if anybody would want to keep that, so you can hide the frame right here by clicking this icon, and that will in effect hide the camera, but not what we're seeing through the camera, just the actual physical representation of the camera in the scene. So I'll press that button now, and then we can view things this way. Now you'll notice that this camera also has a scene here at the first frame, and because of that we're able to use the onboard camera. If you didn't have a scene here, you wouldn't be able to use the onboard camera. So by default, whenever you create a new camera track, it'll always add a new scene. In fact, that's true of any object that you add or import. It'll always create a new scene. So what we want to do is we're going to want to be able to use this camera, and the first thing I want to show you is I'm going to go ahead and assign to this camera that I want it to follow the car. So regardless of where the car is on the track, this camera will always try and center on that vehicle. And you do that down here in the scene editor simply by selecting the object that you would like it to keep its focus on. So we're going to have it look right at the Mini Cooper. And now that we've done that, watch what happens. I'm going to play the animation back, and you'll notice that this scene that we applied, that was created for this, is very short. It only runs a couple of ticks here on the timeline. So as soon as our timeline moves past that scene, you're going to see that the camera will no longer be able to track the vehicle. So I'll press the play button, and you'll see that the camera tracks, and then it stops tracking the car, though the car is now moving out of the scene. And the reason for that is because this scene marker is too short, and so the playhead has already moved past it. If I were to click and drag this out and let it go, you can see that the 3D view already changed and it's now tracking the car. So if we go back to the very beginning and press play, now it will continue to track the car the whole time. But as you can see here, there's kind of a tilt to our view that doesn't look particularly well. And so this is something that we need to correct first. And so we'll go ahead and do that now.